Today I'm going to be playing a Patreon deck from Jupiter Jazz. And this one is a bit spicy. So we're playing a bunch of Murlocs along with Magic Fin to randomly generate some legendary minions. And we have some combos to pull that off. One of the combos is Magic Fin, call in the finishers, and then Animated Broomstick, trade in all the 1/1s and get legendaries. We can do something similar with like Soul of the Murloc, and of course we can just have Murlocs in play already. But we also got some other ways to randomly generate legendaries. We're playing a Brightwing, a Bandersmosh, and 2 weaponized Pinatas. So lots of random legendaries in this deck. Consider me skeptical of a value-based deck having any chance of competing in Wild, but we'll give it a shot.
Rastakan versus Malfurion. I must protect you. You stand before King Rastakan.
I do like turn 1 Tidecaller. Let's just try to curve out. Alright, so probably not aggro Druid. Well, play my 2-mana Murloc on turn 2. Could have waited to see if it was Tiny Fin, I guess, but I didn't. Prize Vendor is probably better than a Totem. Although I admit I don't love giving my probably combo Druid opponent an extra card. I guess I'm not really allowed to play Call on the Finishers next turn, because if my opponent has Spreading Plague, I just lose the game on the spot. Unless I draw Magic Fin, then I guess I can play it. Well, there's my Magic Fin. At this point, I guess I just hold it for the Broomstick combo, though, probably. Well, no Spreading Plague, please. Why don't we play Old Murkai? That card's good, right? Well, we can't quite do a full Magic Fin thing here. I guess I'm just gonna go Fish Flinger plus Weaponized Pinata. Do I ever play Grimscale Oracle here? It makes this combo a lot stronger next turn. But I can't really imagine this combo, like, killing much. I'm probably just using it to farm value. Whatever, screw it. Armor? You're at 22. I do have to keep in mind that my Magic Fin combo takes up 6 board slots, which is kind of a lot. See, like, that thing isn't even worth comboing into, because I only get 2 things out of it. I guess I'm just gonna try to kill my opponent with Bloodlust or something. Is Bloodlust even lethal? Yeah, it's definitely lethal. The Bloodlust itself is 21. And then my board obviously does 6. It's not that lethal, though. Please don't be swipe. Okay, good. Well, could still be another swipe, I guess. Yo, Boommaster Flark? That's Bloodlust synergy. Alright, well, I guess it's time for this to happen. Wonder if there's like some particular legendary that can help me in this matchup. This doesn't really seem like a deck that has counterplay, but you never know. Whenever this attacks and kills a minion, summon 2 Murlocs from your deck. I mean, what if I just rush this in here? I think I'm just gonna go Mermy plus Elise. Wow, another one of those.
This jungle hides
I don't know. I almost feel like I should have just flarked this turn somehow. Cenarius was also a really insane draw. I guess depending on what I'm up against, maybe this Barov is a game winner. But I have to imagine whatever my opponent's doing just kills me. Yeah, Dream Petal Florist. Well, I mean, I probably play Cenarius here. It's really insane.
aloof never die.
Not sure if that deck needs like more than one Dream Petal Florist. Probably not. Maybe the win condition in that deck is like Togwaggle. I think I would win that matchup. Alright, they play Poison Seeds in this format. I mean, I probably have to Bloodlust here. Barov just kills all my stuff too. I guess I could like Barov Flark.
Speak to me.
How much damage does that even threaten? I have 6 minions in play, so 18, 26. Alright, let's hold the Bloodlust.
Try to keep yourself alive.
I'm only really scared of Spreading Plague or Death. And my opponent does still have 10 cards in their deck, so I don't think it's super likely that I get Plagued or Deathed here. That gives my opponent a lot of time, though. I'm sure this won't be lethal. Yeah, I mean, I calculated 26, right? My opponent's at 36. Well, if this is a spell, they might not get another Oaken Summons, which would be really good for me. Swipe and Oaken Summons are both rough. Well, I guess Swipe doesn't actually matter now. This is a lot of face damage. Pretty sure Swipe was the preferable outcome there. What if I just go Flark, Plague of Murlocs? I guess I could just go like Call in the Finishers, Hero Power, Plague of Murlocs. That's probably just better, isn't it? Same amount of stuff, I don't lose a Flark. I knew I should have waited a hero power. Yeah, this is not great for me though. The opponent getting a fishy flyer is really annoying. Draw a card, gain armor, draw a card, gain armor. Pretty classic Druid. They have the mana to play the Murloc. What is this? Okay, sure. They want to kill a 2/1. I don't actually know if that's worth it for them, but I see why. Oh, I just realized that this thing draws a Brightwing when it dies. Kinda sick. Well, I push 4 and play Flark here, right? And just hope Spreading Plague is on the bottom of my opponent's deck. I mean, even if it's not, I do have the Bloodlust to get through. And then I have a second Bloodlust in deck.
My hand is too.
This is lethal. I won the game. I won! Let's go. Double Boommaster Flark with Bloodlusts in deck. Kinda sick.
Rusticon versus Jaina.
Oh boy. It's my good friend Jaina.
Before King Rusticon.
What if we just play River Croc into Spider Tank? Maybe if the Angler dies, I just freaking coin out call on the finishers. That could be good, right? Oh, we got the nut draw.
You're not ready for this.
Well, I'm gonna have to trade off my precious Tide Caller here. I could coin out Magic Fin and get a legendary here, but I think I have larger aspirations for my Magic Fin. Well, calling the finishers is not getting counterspelled. And it looks like Rigged Fair Game didn't go off. Could still be Explosive Runes, which is actually kind of fucking annoying because I want to play Magic Fin next turn. Maybe I can draw a Mermy. Oh, I guess if my opponent doesn't play a minion, then I don't really care about playing Magic Fin. Now the real question is, do they play Flame Ward? It looks like they occasionally play one Flame Ward. So, because I assume this matchup is terrible, we're going to disrespect Flame Ward and hit the opponent in the face and immediately get punished by Flame Ward, so that's great. Let's play Prize Vendor. I don't know. Like, Flame Ward looks like it's only in about half the decks, and the ones that do play it, it's a one of. But, like, I don't know. My opponent did play a secret and pass on turn 4, so, like, maybe I should have had the read on it. Well, let's see if it's a counterspell. Wow, I high rolled the shit out of these Murlocs. Man, I'm still at 23. I feel so safe. Which makes me uncomfortable because I probably shouldn't feel this safe. Well, as much as I would love to play Call in the Finishers plus Soul of the Murloc here, kind of feels like I should kill this 4/4. Because volunteering to take damage sounds bad. But I don't know. Like, I don't really have a response to anything the opponent would play next turn anyway, so maybe it's just good to get Call in the Finishers down. I actually kind of force my opponent to trade if I play Call in the Finishers. Alright, let's play Call in the Finishers. I checked for this already, right? Yeah, this is so much power in play. My opponent can't just go face with the 4/4, which is the only reason I really cared. I did cast Soul the Murloc, right? None of these have the death rattle icon. I have 19 damage here. Probably just playing the Spectral Flyer. Chinvala. Alright, well the two legendaries I got are pretty useless, I think.
What once was cloudy shall become.
Oh, this feels like a W. That's what the kids say, right? About to hand my opponent an L. Wait, what if it's Ice Block? They don't play Ice Block, do they? Oh shit, this list plays Ice Block. Most of them don't though, so we're just gonna YOLO it. Check for Counterspell. Nice try, kid. Alright, so I've shown the Bloodlust. They can concede if they want. What's the hedge against? Okay. Like, if it was... I wanted to be able to trade off and kill a 5/5 if it was Ice Block, so that I maybe wouldn't die. After playing 10 games with this deck, I am both shocked and pleased to report that I won 4 of those games. I thought this deck was going to be really terrible, but in practice it wasn't that bad. And somehow I actually ended up 2-1 against Secret Mage, which is definitely not sustainable. But, you know, it was pretty nice while it lasted. If anything, it seemed like the deck that was giving me trouble was Big Priest. Which was kind of unfortunate since we're already playing 2 Plague of Murlocs. Might be hard to deal with that matchup. But anyway, let's see if there are some cards we should be playing. Seems like the obvious place to start is going to be with Murlocs. So Sludge Slurper is a card that stands out to me as being pretty good that we could include in this deck. It does have some advantages and disadvantages over the 1-drops we're already playing. But in Standard, at least, this card tends to be quite good. Murloc is a card we can potentially play depending on the matchups. Toxfin is pretty reasonable, might be good in that Big Priest matchup, but not sure that it's too good elsewhere. Murloc Tidecaller could end up being a pretty good 2-drop for this deck. It would probably be replacing Prize Vendor, which Prize Vendor feels kind of sketchy to me. Seems like pretty much every deck I was going up against, I really did not want to give them extra cards. And I can't really think of any particular reason that the health spread on the Tidehunter would be that bad. So I think that's probably a card I'm looking at. We could play Cold Light Oracle, but I don't think we really have that much trouble with resource generation in this deck. So it seems like this might be a 3-mana 2/2 pretty often, and it has the same problems as Prize Vendor. A Murloc I think I do want to play is Old Murkai. Just pretty good stats. I think we can consistently buff it pretty nicely. Gives the deck an extra little bit of lethality that I think it probably appreciates. So I think I like Old Murkai. And then from there, we're probably looking at some of the Murloc buff stuff. I originally thought it was insane that we weren't playing War Leader in this deck. But the way the deck plays out, I mean, we already have Bloodlust, we have Plague of Murlocs, and we have Magic Fen, all of those to take advantage of our Murloc boards. So I don't know that we necessarily need something like War Leader or Gentle Megasaur, or even Every Fin is awesome. I think we probably don't need any buffs like that, but they're definitely something we should be keeping in mind. I think the final Murloc thing to touch on is the quest, Unite the Murlocs. Seems like we can probably complete this pretty easily. We are playing 2 copies of Call in the Finishers, maybe some Tide Hunters. Mermy helps with it. We just have a lot of Murlocs, so seems like it shouldn't be too hard to finish the quest. And I feel like the quest is kind of in line with what this deck wants to do anyway, right? Which is generate some random garbage to kill the opponent. So that could be a direction for the deck. Outside of Murlocs, there's some interesting stuff as well. Lightning Bloom is a card that I'm heavily considering. It can help us get out our Magic Fen combos a couple turns earlier, and also this deck tends to have a lot of randomly generated stuff in the hand, and it's like pretty sad on turn 5 when you have a 6/7 drop, and you can't play it obviously, so I feel like Lightning Bloom could be pretty good. Another card I was heavily considering is Vicina. I talked about how I don't really think we need War Leader or Megasaur or whatever, but I think Vicina is probably the best of those, and it also has synergy with things we randomly generate. Maybe I'm a little bit biased in wanting to play Vicina, since I made 2 Boommaster Flarks in that one game. But I think Vicina is definitely a strong contender. The problem with Vicina is we currently play, I think, 0 Overload cards. But there is some pretty good Overload stuff we could play. I mentioned Sludge Slurper. There's also Storm's Wrath, which is just also a pretty good way to take advantage of our token boards. There's Zap, which is probably pretty decent in some aggro matchups. So you could maybe get an Overload package into this deck. It might be a little bit of work, but Vicina is a pretty good card. Let's see, what else is there? I guess kind of in the same line of thinking as Vicina, you could also maybe consider playing Thrall. It's a way to use your tokens, and it's also a way to use your stupid Death Rattle, or your stupid legendary minions that don't end up being that strong. But maybe more realistic than evolving our minions is going to be devolving the opponent's minions. I think I mentioned that Big Priest was giving me a lot of trouble, so maybe like a copy or 2 of Devolve on top of Plague of Murlocs could be good. And then the last card I was looking at is Instructor Fireheart. Tends to be just a pretty good filler card, can get you out of a lot of situations, so something to consider for sure. But that's a lot of cards I talked about potentially adding to the deck, and we don't really have that many deck slots. I've been instructed that I'm not allowed to cut Animated Broomstick, Brightwing, Magic Fin, Call in the Finishers, Weaponized Pinata, or Bandersmosh. Some of those are more understandable than others, but that's a few deck slots we're not allowed to touch. I definitely don't want to touch Bloodlust either. So as far as cuttable cards, we're pretty much looking at this section of the deck from Tidecaller down to Soul of the Murloc, and then Fishy Flyers in there as well. So I think the cuts I would make are 2 prize vendors. I mentioned that I think Murloc Tidehunter is just going to be better here. I think it just has more synergies with the deck, and we don't have to give our opponents a card, which is quite nice. And then I want to cut 1 Fishy Flyer for an Old Murkeye. I feel like most of the time Old Murkeye is just better than Fishy Flyer. And then I decided I want to cut the second Fishy Flyer, Ice Fishing, and Mermy for 2 copies of Lightning Bloom, and then Unite the Murlocs. I did cut several bits of resource generation from this deck, But I think I ended up with too many cards in my hand pretty often. I think all these changes make some sense.
Rastakan versus Thrall. For doom, you stand before King Rastakan.
2/3 sick curve. 2/3 4? How can I be stopped? Well, I guess my opponent can have a 1, and then they can have a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Greetings, friend. Tremble before me. I see you.
Armor! Armor! Lightly used armor.
Well, hopefully we can hit a 1 here. We didn't because the button was green. Unfortunate. 2 opportunities to hit a 1. I don't even know what Quest Shaman does in Wild, to be honest. Feel like I'm probably gonna get OTK'd or something. Alright, this is a weaponized Pinata turn, obviously. We'll take a nice value trade to go with it.
Armor! Armor! Lightly used armor. Double pump Azarano, extra star whip, high mountain ice room for magic.
Okay, pretty sick bloom, I guess. Can't find a 1-mana Murloc to save my life. You fool, you've given me a Malagos.
Lightly used armor.
We are friends now. Hello, friend.
Well, I'm not really planning on discarding that many cards this game, so this is probably not great.
Armor! Armor! Lightly used armor.
I'm okay with all this armor, unless I'm somehow getting OTK'd. I don't think Shaman has like a non-damage win condition though, so I think I'm just kind of fine.
I must insist.
Let's make a Murloc board. Would I rather have a 1/2 Wind Fury or a 2/1? Well, my board's probably gonna get cleared here, so we'll just take the 2 damage.
You belong to the bog now.
Okay, so I probably don't want to go call in the finishers, Plague of Murlocs here.
You have made an
We'll play Tidecaller, sure, whatever. So I still have 2 Magic Fin, Elise, a Weaponized Pinata, and a Bandersmash in deck. It's pretty unlikely for all of those to be... Well, I guess I still have 19 cards in deck. Is my opponent Highlander? I haven't seen any dupes yet, right? Seems like they could be Highlander. Well, easy Malagos here. 9 mana, 4/12, doesn't get much stronger than that. Oh, shit. I have no clue how to feel about that. What does it mean?
You have the artifact.
You are finished! You are finished!
Know my hunger.
Well, my opponent's playing a lot of random small stuff that's not combo-y, so it's not like Geppetto hit some nuts combination of 4 specific cards, probably. That is the second Sandstorm Elemental, right? Because the first one is buffed. So not Highlander. Good to know. You had a good run, Malagos.
There is little time. Drink with me, friend.
I ain't talking.
Well, I'm suddenly in a really terrible position here. And that does not help. Probably have to just do those. I definitely got the better end of these Murlocs. But it looks like they can trade with most of them without giving me any draws as well. Thanks for the free card, dum-dum. Wait, why are they still giving me free cards? They don't care if I have free cards? Am I getting milled? Is this mill shaman?
Get 'em, boys.
Sealing triple. Sealing triple. There is little time.
Oh my god, it is mill shaman. What the fuck? Summon all minions from your hand that didn't start in your deck. These all started in my deck, right?
The Lord, speak to me.
This is pulling from 2 Magic Fins, a Mermy, and a Tidecaller. I don't really want to pull my Magic Fins out, to be honest. But it's not likely to hit both. Or either, apparently.
I will not be rushed.
Probably don't want to life tap at this point. I guess that's the turn. This Talanji is very sad because it has the potential to be like one of the best legendaries I can generate. It just happened to not be good here.
My jaws that bite, my claws that
This is going to be a lot of armor for both players. Oh, there's going to be a Cold Light Oracle too.
my jaws that bite, my claws that catch,
My opponent's hand is full, so they don't get any more Shutter Walks.
claws that catch.
And they're milling themselves. Does my opponent have a way to not fatigue? Okay, they have one Shudderwalk in hand. Well, I lost both of my magic fins. That's unfortunate. Greybow's good. I mean, I have 2 Bloodlusts if I can ever stick a board, but I'm never sticking a board. That was, what, 3 Sandstorm Elementals? 4? Oh, 8, apparently. Because it was doubled. I think I just lose.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
I want to dump some shit so I can draw my map, but I don't really know if my map does anything. I mean, currently it seems like with all those Cold Light Oracles, my opponent's just gonna die.
Ever jousted a dragon?
Oh, sure.
Armor! Armor! Lightly used armor.
They're not walking this turn, though, it looks like.
Let's stash that away.
Okay, that's the anti-fatigue strat. I have 2, 4, 6, 11, 18. Old Murkai is 5, so 23. And 2 Bloodlusts that deal 42. Man, that is so far from being lethal somehow. Got through the armor, let's go. If you're Shudderwalking, I don't think you're supposed to kill Greybow first.
Armor! Armor! Lightly used armor.
Did my opponent just commit suicide? Maybe I'm dead. I don't know. Well, if the next Cold Light Oracle is before the next Armor Vendor, my opponent's dead.
My claws, the catch.
Oh, even with an Armor Vendor. I won! Murkai double Bloodlust, baby! Alright, so I ended up going 10 and 18 with this deck. I think just randomly generating legendaries in Wild, where every deck is hyper aggro or like an OTK finisher, is probably not the strat. But, you know, for what it is, it does its thing often enough, I guess. The one off-camera change I made was swapping out the quest for Elise. Elise turns your whole deck into random legendaries. Isn't that just so in line with what we're supposed to be doing? So yeah, Elise is sick, I guess. And I didn't like the quest taking up a mulligan slot. As far as the other changes I made, I think I liked those better. Old Murkai was alright. I think I do prefer Tidehunter over Prize Vendor. And then I ended up adding 2 Lightning Blooms. I don't even remember what I cut for those. I guess I cut like a Merman and then a Fishy Flyer. Oh, and Ice Fishing. So yeah, for the most part, I think I like the changes I made. If you don't like Elise, then maybe like Ice Fishing is the card I would put back. I did actually miss the Fishy Flyers a bit, if I'm being honest. But I think I liked everything I added more than those. As far as any further improvements to the deck, I can't really think of any improvements that don't go against the spirit of the deck. So like cutting Pinatas and Brightwing and adding more leaders would probably make the deck win more games, but I assume that's not really what you're interested in. There is a new Murloc that's been announced. Like Firemancer Flurgle, I think. That card is going to be nasty in this deck, and then you probably play Toxfins with it. But for now, I think this is the version of Murloc Random Legendary Shaman that I would be playing.